Have you been struggling since moving to the Marion County area and are looking for a really great chiropractor who offers specialty in dealing with children who have special needs, whether that's autism, whether that is CP, no matter what it is, then you definitely want to check out this interview that I did with Dr. Jen. She just recently located her new practice here in the Marion County area. She's been doing it for quite some time and even herself has a disabled child. So she has a really great story, super interesting in how she got into the industry. So I highly recommend you check it out. Let's go. All right, Dr. Jen, tell us a little bit about how you got into being a chiropractor.
Sure. So it was actually a very interesting story. We were much more of a medical family, and we ended up, my husband's a counselor, and he kept hearing there's a chiropractor in town that can help our daughter. My daughter has autism. She also has chromosomal abnormalities, which make it a lot more difficult for her to developmental delays, intellectual delays, all of those things. And we were trying to figure out what is the next step, because at 6 years old, the meltdowns were insane. I mean, hours, not just minutes. It was an hour, 2 hour meltdowns. And we were like, what else do we try? We tried medication. It didn't really help. And he's like, it's worth a try. And I was skeptical, and so skeptical. Walked in there, I was like, this isn't going to work, but whatever. Hey, so let's give it a try. And within 3 months, so we started in January, I will never forget, January to March. And March comes along, and I was like, gosh, we have actually been able to go out as a family now. We can do things, whether it's going to the zoo, going to dinner. It was just, now we could go out without worrying, is she going to have a meltdown? Are we going to be able to do all these things? And her school was also monitoring her behaviors, because they would keep track of all the stats. And her behaviors went down by 70%. So head banging, scratching, she'd do self-injurious stuff too. And I was shocked. I said, you know what? I need to know how to do this. So first thing I did was Easter Sunday, I'll never forget, of 2013, and I pulled up, how to become a chiropractor, and is there a chiropractic school near me? And there was in Lombard, Illinois. I grew up in Illinois, so about 45 minutes from where I was.
So how old were you at this time?
I was 36.
Okay, wow, okay.
Yes, so completely different career. I'd worked in a fertility clinic for 10 years prior to that. So definitely complete turnaround for where I was. And I said, you know what? I'm going to just investigate, see what can come of this. And sure enough, they're like, you just have two prerequisites that you have to do, and we can start you in December of 2014. So that's when I started and graduated in 2017. And it was the hardest program I've ever done in my entire life. But it was so worth it. I always said, if this isn't the path I'm supposed to take, I will know the signs, and, not being able to, pass the test. We had 4 board exams that we have to take as a chiropractor, and very intense. And I thought, well, let's see how it all goes. And I passed all of them first time. And I said, you know what? This is my path. This is where I'm supposed to be. I'm supposed to be helping other families that are in the same situation, whether it's ADHD, autism. How do I help these kids better adapt their nervous system so they can be more just, present in what they're doing, whether it's at school or activities, and just be their best self. That's the bigger part, is how do they become, instead of so closed in and so stuck, because they would just, I could see it in my daughter. She would just get stuck on something and couldn't get past it. And I need to figure out how we can help so many of these other kiddos just have the best life possible.
Okay, so what did you have a degree in before?
Psychology.
Okay. Okay, so you were the person that all the fertility people had to talk to.
Yeah, so I was actually the call center manager. So it was kind of a cool thing, because all the new patients would call us, and the other weird, how things always come together. My daughter was finishing her treatment plan for chiropractic, and I was training 2 other new people in the call center, and one just kept saying, I blame her. Her name's Iris. Blame her all the time. She's like, how come you're not one of the doctors? Every day. And because I knew all the protocols, all the doctors, like I knew exactly what each patient coming in truly needed in the care, moving forward. We had 10 doctors, so we had to know kind of where would this person best fit.
Because they all have their own specialty.
They do, and they all have just different protocols and what would be best fit for this, more natural versus I want to move right into IVF, so we had to kind of know where each patient was at. And it was such a cool thing to kind of get to know and have that customer service background as well, moving into doing what I do now.
I know, I was just getting ready to say, like, I feel like that really, like, prepared you well to be a chiropractor, especially if you're dealing with children who have, some type of developmental delay or have autism or whatever the case may be. Because my cousin actually has special needs, so she has. It took a very long time for them to figure out what it was. Actually, all this genetic stuff really, like, advanced it. So they thought for a long time that she had CP, but she didn't have CP.
Oh my goodness.
And then, because she never really got along with those people, and it was like a whole thing. Because my cousin's very social. She cannot speak, so she's nonverbal. But she's very socially aware, like very highly socially aware. Like, she knows what's going on.
100%.
She has her own way of communicating,
Yep, they all do.
Yes, she's just that person. And so that the symptoms never really matched that. And then they put her into something else at some point. And my aunt was like, these kids don't really fit her either. So, like, what is wrong with, like, what's wrong with my daughter? Like, truly.
Right.
And so come to find out, it's some very rare genetic disorder to where it's the opposite of autism. I mean, it's the opposite of Down syndrome, to where instead of an extra chromosome, she's lacking the chromosome.
Yes.
So it's the opposite. Mm-hmm. And so, in a lot of ways, she has always gotten along with Down syndrome children probably the best.
Yes.
And she probably is the most similar. Like, knowing that now,
yes,
it would have been very helpful for my aunt
to know that then.
Yes, but she didn't know that. And so, here we are now. She is 2 years younger than me, so she's 24. Yeah, and things are definitely on the up for her, I think.
Good.
And she's a lot more stable than she used to be. And
it's hard.
It's hard, and I think my aunt also, like, having something to compare it to and really understanding it, I think helped a lot. And she's had to be put on some, like, antidepressants and things like that.
Absolutely.
To help with her mood, but she's definitely, like, in the best place I think she's been in a long time, and it's wonderful to see.
It's so cool to see. Yes, absolutely. And seeing those kids, again, I've seen all different kinds of kiddos, and same for my daughter. She's missing chromosomes, so we did, even when I was pregnant, did the amniocentesis, and they were like a perfectly healthy female, and here we are, so had the baby, and we're like, all right, let's just see what what actually is happening, because they didn't know of cardiology. We had nephrology. We had every specialist available just in case something was really, really wrong after birth, but it ended up that no, it was none of those things. It was, here we are. But she's 20. She's at Hillcrest right now. She loves this. We love the school there too. So grateful when we moved that we found the right people, and that was a blessing in disguise, because
Hillcrest really is a really great school. I know
fabulous.
Marion County, like, the schools maybe this or maybe that, and I think even Hillcrest has, like, a bad reputation, but I'm like, it really is. They've done a lot of improvements.
Yes.
Marion County across the board, with my wife being a school teacher, like, she's been in it 5 years now, and so I have really seen a transformation in, like, the people that are coming down here and like re-bringing the programs back to life in the new schools, and like, just give it time. We're getting there. We will get there.
I will say, she was at more of a private school in Chicago for a little while. It was called Alexander Lee Center for Autism, so specifically for kids on the spectrum. But we also moved into a high school after that, so before we moved down here. And I will say that very comparable to the programs that she had up there. So
that's good to know.
100%. Fabulous school.
Yeah, that's great. I'm glad to hear that, because I know, like, they have I know them and Moe's, so Marion Oaks Elementary is also the hub. So they kind of go together, and I know that, like, Marion Oaks Elementary, that's a massive school. It's like over 1,000 elementary school students.
It's insane, right?
It's insane. Like, I'm like, oh my God, that's a lot of children. I mean, my wife has 650 at her school. I think maybe a little bit more than that, but like 1,000 elementary schools. That's a lot of kids. I'm like, good God, help me. I'm like, I imagine, like, them, like, running through, like, little ants. I'm like, oh my God.
Thank goodness they all have their little, pods where they're in.
I do like kids. I may sound like I don't like kids, but I'm just like, it's a lot of kids.
That's what I say too. I'm like, even when I see families of like 7 or 8, and I'm like, how do you do that?
Yeah, I don't know.
We had 3, and I was like, that's doable. Like, I feel like I can handle that. But 7 and 8, and you're like, I don't have enough hands, enough anything.
I kind of agree. My wife is the youngest of 6. It was a blended family, but still, it's a lot. And then my actual chiropractor that I have been going to since I was a little kid, she's in Sanford. I think you guys actually get along really well. You guys are kind of similar. And she has 6 children. She just had her last one. She's 42, I think.
Goodness.
She said, she's like, I don't know if I'm going to do this again. She's like, I don't know about this one. It was a 10-pound baby.
And wow.
And her specialty is actually like pregnant moms. That's what she does.
Yep.
And she was like, I thought I was going to die. And I've had 6 of them already. She goes, and I thought I was going to die.
A 10-pounder is a big one.
That's a big one. I'm like, oh my God. But I did want to ask about, so I know, let's go back on to chiropractics a little bit since we mentioned it. So tell us exactly like how chiropractics would help somebody whose child is like dealing with like usually nerve ending issues. That's really what's going on.
That's what's definitely going on. So again, we know a lot about the vagus nerve. That's one of our cranial nerves in our brainstem. And so there's 12 of them. And the vagus nerve is actually our biggest one that's affecting so many other things. So gut issues as well as social emotional. So if you know about Steve Porges, he talked about the polyvagal theory, and that also goes into that vagal tone aspect of things. So by just affecting upper cervicals, we have so many great results from increasing parasympathetic, decreasing that sympathetic. So sympathetic's that fight or flight, right? So most of our kids are running around like, crazy in that sympathetic state. And how can we bring that parasympathetic so that they can be more regulated, rest, digest? Because we also see the constipation in kiddos, right? That's a big one for kids with ADHD, autism. We just start to see those as part of a component to it.
Yeah, because my cousin dealt with that for years. It's always been a problem.
It's a struggle, right? So again, chiropractic can help with that whole process too. And I'm telling you, I've never seen, my daughter would get so angry and so, when she was constipated and it hurts. I'm like, I get it, but we didn't know anything different of what to do. Now with just simple adjustments. And that's crazy. I'm like, all it takes is adjustments. That's what I kept, is this really that simple? It can't be that simple. That's what I, kept thinking. And yes, after we did our 3 months of restorative care, we've done maintenance, obviously, even with myself adjusting her now. But we saw that once we changed even the diet and all the other parts after the fact, it was easy. Her speech got so much better. Like, she's technically nonverbal, but she can communicate her needs.
Which is, figure it out.
Which is a huge thing, is she truly talks almost too much sometimes. With what she wants, because she loves her hamburgers.
They always, it's like, my cousin, it's like, I'll make a joke really quick, because you'll probably relate to this. So it's like, Sierra, like, you'll have your hands, so that's how we do it. So we ask her, like, do you want this, or do you want this?
Nice.
So usually on the menu, we're looking at the menu, she'll be like, me and Dad will be like, look, Sierra, there's no grilled cheese. So we're like, so do you want a hot dog, or do you want a hamburger? And she'll be like, And we're like, okay, well, how do you want this, or you want this? And she's like, this. And we're like, okay, do you want baked beans? She's like, yeah, baked beans. She loves them baked beans. And french fries. Baked beans and french fries. So she loves. There's actually a barbecue place that they love going to.
That's awesome.
And so she gets her grilled cheese.
Perfect.
Per usual.
Yep.
With her french fries and baked beans.
Beautiful. Love it all. Yep.
And they always got something that they really like to eat.
Exactly. Isn't it funny?
It is.
Yes.
It's
and ways to communicate it. But yes, she's verbal in that sense, but almost, my husband's always like, she's almost like, demanding so much that she's like in your face, and you're like, I already heard you.
Amen. I feel that. Sierra's like, I like with M&M's or Starbucks. She'd be like, Starbucks. And I'm like, yes, Sierra, we're gonna go get Starbucks. I promise. And we're gonna go. Because her aunt will be like, my aunt will be like, I'm not spending money on that. Because she gets some money, and so she's like, so. Yeah, she's like, she can spend her own money on that. I'm like, Sierra, I'll pay. You're good. I got it. I got you. But yeah, no, it's very funny. I love her to death.
It's so fun, isn't it?
It is. They're always so happy too. Like, going to Disney with her has always been fun. She loves Disney.
You gotta love that stuff, right?
I know, she loves it. And man, she's always so excited to go. I'm like, can I have this excitement? Like,
and that's kind of what I always thought too, is like, these kids are just they just show happiness and joy. That's like all they kind of know, and it's such an amazing thing to watch. It's like, now she's 20, she functions more at like a 3 to 4 year old, and yes, she gets excited about the simplest of things, and you're like, I could learn a lot from you.
Yeah, no, I know, right? It is something very special. Sometimes, I don't know, there's a lot of controversy about that, but unless you've really grown, like, I grew up with Sierra my whole life, and so, I used to have to, like, help her brush her teeth or help her put her clothes on or do whatever the case may be. And sometimes she would come and stay with us for, like, 2 or 3 weeks during the summer, and I'd want to kill my mother because I'm an only child. So I was like, Mom,
it's too much.
I was like, Mom, can she please go home? Like, I'm over her being in my space. And my mom would be like, Gabriella, you can't be so mean. Like, you did it. And I'm like, but Mom, I don't want to deal with her anymore. And she drools. So that
Yes.
was a
Oh,
big
yes.
thing. She would like want to like lay with me all the time. And I'm
Yep.
like, Mom, she's drooling on me. Like I can't. I'm a grown person now. I don't have those issues anymore. But
It's
as a
hard
young
as a kid, yes.
yes, I
Oh,
struggled.
yes. My boys are the same.
I'm
They're
sure.
like, she just drools all over us. And I was like, she just loves you.
I
It's
know.
just her way of showing her love.
When Sierra was a little kid, she really loved chicken wings, and so they would go to this place called El Primo's, and she loves spicy food. Like Sierra
Oh.
loves spicy food.
No kidding.
Yeah, I don't know. She loves it. So you could give her she loves hot wings. And oh my God, that cup would be so disgusting by the end of it. Like, I know you can relate to this.
Oh, yes.
Yes, and like, it was so gross. And like, we would all laugh about it. And people would literally be like looking at us like, you guys are messed up. Like, there's something wrong with you. But we are like, keying about how gross her cup
That
is.
is
And we're
gross.
like, who's touching it?
No,
And my
right.
Aunt Donna would be like, I don't even, and Aunt Donna get like, her own mother didn't want to touch it. And she's like, we're going with it. We're going with it.
That's awesome.
It was so great. But I know you can relate to that because
Oh, yes.
that's how it goes. It's very
Oh,
funny.
100%.
Oh my God. I know, because you said she likes burgers. What else is her other?
Tater tots.
Okay.
Tater
Yeah,
tots has been
very similar.
her new little thing.
I
We're
know, they
like,
switch up on the...
it's so funny, right? Yeah, because it was pizza.
Okay.
She's never liked mac and cheese. Like, that's one of the
really?
other ones. that
Sierra loves mac and cheese.
No,
Ooh,
she
loves
never
that stuff.
touched mac and cheese.
That's funny.
Anything peanut butter.
Oh.
Literally.
Okay.
Anything peanut butter.
Okay, that's
and
very funny.
She's, yeah. So cookies, whatever.
I love it.
Yeah.
No, it just makes me
And her
laugh.
peanut butter sandwich is what she has every day at lunch. And
Oh,
if
wow.
she doesn't have it, she's very upset.
Okay, yeah. Now, Sierra really likes pasta, like noodles, pasta, spaghetti, like any of that. She's happy with it. That's just her thing.
That's funny.
But yeah, no, I think it's very comical.
It is, isn't it?
It is. People just don't get it unless you like have a family member.
If you live with it, then you're like, oh, yep, this
Yep.
is exactly what we deal with.
It's very funny. I love it. I think it's funny. Some people, like I said, that cup though. Oh my God, we could go to El Primo's, and every time I'd be like, Aunt Donna, like they'd be like, grab her cup, and I'm like, I'm not grabbing it.
No.
Then we like started picking straws on who was gonna grab the cup. It was very funny.
That's great.
Oh my God. So let's go back to you being a chiropractor a little bit. I know we got kind of off on a tangent
That's
there,
okay.
but I'm totally good with it. So now that so how long have you been a chiropractor in Illinois?
Illinois. So I've been a chiropractor since 2017.
Okay.
Had my own practice there for 5 years and then sold it. So it was great. I would say hard. I talked a little bit to you about it getting to that point, right? So that first 5 years, definitely where everybody sits is like, this is a hard 5 years. Getting things started, trying to, get to know who are your people coming in, and setting those boundaries for who you actually want as your patients. And so yeah, it was a lot of work, but I built it up enough to be able to sell it, which was fabulous, and moved down here in 2022.
Okay.
Got my license in September of 2022, and then at that point I was like, well, maybe I'll do a mobile type thing, until I realized how big Ocala was.
It's the second largest county.
In Illinois, so we lived in a northwest suburb of Illinois, just so you have a context of why I think Ocala is so huge.
Illinois is not that
Ocala
big. Well, it's long, but not wide.
Right. So Ocala is probably bigger than our county was, and we had so many small little towns all around that, it was McHenry County, and so I was like, okay, if I can kind of maneuver through McHenry County and get there within 20 minutes, that's easy. I can definitely do Ocala, until I realized it's like an hour from one side to another. And then I was like, okay, so if I'm not going to do that, I'll be an associate. So I was an associate for about 6 months. It didn't last long, only because of the fact that I realized I can't serve the people that I want to serve. And it was truly hurting my heart, because I said, I know how I can help these families and these kids, and there's so many, especially new ones, whether they're coming in or have just been here, that need the help, and they didn't even know that chiropractic can help them.
I didn't know that either, and I've been going for it for years.
Right, and it's just kind of one of those things where I'm like, I know that this can help them, and can I bring a few of them in? Sure, where I was, but it wasn't, I could tell that was leading me in the wrong way, and I felt disassociated, right? I felt like I was not unaligned with my purpose here. So decided to open up. I opened up in last November, so it's been 1 year now. And I'm telling you, fast. I've been growing fast, faster than I grew in Illinois. And I knew people in Illinois. So that's what even I think floors me even more is there's obviously a need here. And there were so many chiropractors that did what I did back there. So it was kind of one of those things I'm like, people are coming from Jacksonville to see me.
I believe it.
And I'm still in shock. Like, that's 2-hour drive. So I'm looking at potentially having 1 day a week I'll go to Jacksonville.
Oh, wow.
Just to help those families because it's a lot of driving for them.
Yeah, no, it is. It is. I mean, I used to drive back and forth from Jacksonville. It's a lot.
It's a lot.
And it's becoming more as time goes on because
Yes.
Duval County is the largest county.
Oh.
So, which is where Jacksonville encompasses.
And Jacksonville's huge too.
Yes.
Yes.
And so, I mean, I remember living there, and UNF is like towards beach side, so
Okay.
it's almost Ponte Vedra, like literally, like it's 10 minutes and you're Ponte Vedra.
Okay.
So, I lived on the far end at UNF, and then if you wanted to go do anything, like go downtown or like go to a club or I mean, I was in college, so I was having fun.
Right.
And so, you know, if I wanted to do any nightlife, even coffee shops,
Right.
anything, I had to go like 30 minutes to an hour.
Oh my god.
Always. So my parents were like, "Why are you driving so much?" And I'm like, "You don't understand. Like, there's like not much here on beachside. It was kind of like a lot of older people.
That's so very
more, especially when it's different now. Like they've gotten more stuff now. But
Okay.
when I was there almost 6 years ago now,
Yeah.
like there wasn't much there, and so like you had to
Wow.
drive in to go and do stuff. And
Oh
so
my
it's
goodness.
kind of like living here in Ocala.
Yes.
It's not much different. Like you know,
Right.
it's the second largest county, and so driving, you know, you have to drive 30 minutes
lot.
to an hour to get somewhere.
To get somewhere. 30 minutes easily.
Mhm.
You know, it's like 20 to 30. You can
Yep.
get to most things. But sometimes you're driving a full hour. And I could not believe. I had my friend here last week. She's from Wisconsin.
Okay.
She's like, it really takes an hour. She's like, are we still in Ocala? Every time. I'm like, yeah, we're still in Ocala.
And I'm like, there's a couple small other towns, but the majority of it's Ocala.
Right. You got little, Bellevue on the
Yeah.
side, so you've got, some smaller towns, but Dunellen, but nothing. I mean, Ocala's just huge and
I know.
just spread out.
People
And
don't get it.
And it's amazing. I'm shocked. So one of my favorite roads was 49th. I don't know if you're on the southwest side.
Yeah,
but,
I know where you're at.
Southwest 49th, where it was a nice winding road where
Yeah.
they're building that new school.
Yeah.
And now that's my drive to work. And I said, oh no, this isn't going to be good once that school is built. But it was my favorite road because it was just open fields.
Yeah.
And then now all the houses are coming up. So I'm like,
know.
I feel how the true, authentic Ocala, people that have grown up in Ocala now feel with, how things have built up. It's crazy. And just how, they have to make the roads wider and do all the construction. And I was like, yep. So I'm part of the problem. I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry. It's okay. Ocala's really big, and it really is putting itself all on that southwest side.
Yes.
Like, I mean, Liberty Triangle, which is literally just a triangle, and like you have on top of the world on this side, and then you have like 75 and all of that on this side. Like
Yes.
that whole area is just gonna be massive. But
Oh, yes.
anybody who thought that it wasn't didn't look at Marion Oaks. And Marion Oaks is like when I tell people this, it is 22,000 acres of residential zone plots. Like mostly
Crazy.
somewhere between a half acre to a third of an acre lots, like the vast majority of them.
Wow.
So you tell me what it's going to be. Like,
Right.
like futuristically,
Yep.
it is going to be what it is. And they're going to be putting like a flyover that takes you direct connect to the interstate in Marion Oaks.
Oh.
That's why ADF is going to get 4-lane. Part of 200 is going to get 4-lane. That's also so they're like really prepping for this.
Wow.
That is like the main focus right now in Ocala.
Okay.
Outside of everything else, if you're like, why aren't they doing this? Like, this is why.
That
This has
makes
been the
sense.
main focus because they've got to alleviate 484.
Correct.
They have to fix that.
Yes.
And so that has been like the constant mission
Right.
is to get this flyover, and the flyover will end up taking you because as the crow flies, if you go all the way to the bottom of Marion Oaks, as the crow flies, you're like maybe 20 minutes from the villages max. Like I mean,
Right.
you're actually really close.
You're there, yeah.
You're there. So they're gonna put the flyover, and it's gonna go in at Pedro, which is right there at Summerfield,
Nice.
and you'll be able to go off to the villages, and you'll be able to go
Oh.
off on 75 as well.
That's awesome.
It's awesome. I'm very
Yes.
excited,
Yeah.
and it should be done. I think they said projected like somewhere between 2026 and 2028.
No
so
kidding.
it's in the near
Okay.
future.
Yeah,
But
very
and they've
near
been working
future.
on it since 2015. They had to annex a lot of homes to be able to do it. That was what the issue
Yeah.
was.
That's the hard part, right? Is seeing the homes go, but at least
It is what it
they're
is.
building. They're building what they can. So
Yeah, no. So
good.
it's coming. I'm happy to hear that Overall, though, you seem to like Ocala for the most part, and
It's
having some really great support. I'm
You
happy
know,
to hear that.
yeah, it's crazy. The support that I've found, just meeting the right people, I think is a huge part of it. But also, what I love about Ocala is there's so many hidden gems that you don't know about until you're like a true resident, and you're like, wait, what are you talking about? And they're like, oh, if you just go in here and it's like really hidden, and you're like, there. I found so many crazy things that way. I was like, I had no idea this was in there, right? Crazy stuff. But I mean, again, so many fabulous family owned, places, just great stuff, from restaurants to, I mean, pretty much anything. I found that it's been really, really good.
What's your favorite place that you found so far?
Oh, gosh.
I know it's like off the cuff question.
Goodness. Oh, let me think of one of the best. Well, so my favorite park, Shalom Park,
Yep,
it was one of my
beautiful.
favorite places to go as I was starting to build my practice. And it was just one of those places that was quiet enough for me to sit and think and kind of feel where do I want to be? Where am I supposed to be? And I love it because you just, feel absolutely safe there. And it is one of those kind of like off the beaten path type thing. I was like, what is this place? And so I was like, I'm just going to pull in. And when I did, I was like, oh my goodness.
It's absolutely beautiful.
So beautiful. I love that we have the all the springs. That has been, I still have not kayaked or done paddleboard.
You got to do it January.
That's what,
please do it in January.
okay.
I've lived in Florida my whole life. I've seen manatees my whole life. Like I grew up Blue Springs Park. That's another good one if you want.
Yes.
If you just want to see them, like take your kids or whatever. Blue Springs State Park, which is in Volusia County where I'm from. Like they will literally be like so thick that you could walk on top of them.
Oh my goodness.
So it's a phenomenal experience, and they're like blowing water all. It's super cool. But canoeing, I took my wife canoeing. I think last year we went canoeing, or the year before. I don't remember.
Yeah.
And it was during winter, so the manatees were out. I have never had them so close to me before.
Oh my goodness.
And they like just kind of come up and look at you, and like it was amazing. I was blown away by the experience.
Right.
So you got to go.
The nature aspect of it here is just, some people I know are more, I would say, Colorado or, some of the places that you might say, yeah, there's a lot of nature. I feel like there's so much nature around here. And you have to take advantage of that. Like, this is amazing. Just the horses and, all the things that you see is just beautiful. And so those are my, like, two favorite, like, amazing things to be so close in Ocala. I'm trying to think if there's a really good restaurant. We've been to a few that I'm like, ooh, these are so good. Just more family-owned type things, and I can't think of their names, but that's okay.
Yeah, I'm just happy with what you gave me, because I always talk about that. It's like my must. And like I said, I grew up in Florida. I've been around all kinds of different Florida animals, monkeys, this and that. But that was top-notch, one of the best experiences I've ever had. It was just, was really special.
I bet. Yeah.
Yeah, even my wife was like, and she really hasn't seen manatees that much.
Oh, so that was like.
It was really cool for her. My mom is really Floridian. Her mom is too, but it's different, I think.
Sure.
My mom's like South Florida, so it's kind of nature focused, I feel like. But here in Ocala, like, is more country.
Definitely.
I know that
makes sense.
It's still, sense. My mom and her family are still country too, but in a different way. My mom's Mexican, so like, that adds a whole different level to it too. So, maybe that's why, but super awesome. Highly recommend that.
Yes.
Now, so where is your office located?
So I'm off of Lake Weir. It's 25th Loop.
Okay.
So southeast 25th Loop. It's in like a professional little area. Tons of people just walk in this little circle. It's kind of fun. But yeah, I was at Loving Arms Birth Center at first when I started. Karen, who owns that, was like, hey, I can make a spot for you. And I was like, all right, I'm seeing pregnant mamas, I'm seeing kids. Yeah. And, again, I needed somewhere that was going to be willing to have a little bit of noise, because that's, seeing kids on the spectrum or ADHD, ODD, you don't know what you're going to get sometimes.
No, you have no idea, Lord. No. No, you don't know.
The noises that they might make, So I was so grateful to start there. So I was in her office until June, and then Grace Baker owns my massage suites, and then she just opened my wellness suites, which is I'm part of the My Wellness Suites, and so grateful to be a part of that little group of people that are in that building now. And so
Cool.
got my own little space, my own little room, and we make it happen.
No, I think that's great. So, what exactly would like a typical like treatment look like for a
Sure.
kid who is on the spectrum? Like, how is it how does I guess that should
Yeah.
be my question. How does it differ from typical chiropractic?
So the adjustments might look the same.
Okay.
And that's where people are like, well, why is this different? So, one, we're going to be a lot more specific because we know how to calm certain areas and how to increase certain areas. So, if somebody comes in and they have low tone, we want to actually excite that area versus not. So, sometimes what we call flying seven is just like, hey, just crack everything, right? Because some people are like, I want to glow like a glow stick, and we're like, well, that's great and all, but it's not helping your nervous system function at its best. When we can do specific adjustments, we're actually getting to that nervous system and allowing your body to do what it's supposed to do and function at its highest. So the scans that I do it's called Insight CLA scans. They do heart rate variability. There's a thermal component, which looks deeper at organs, glands, and tissues, how they're functioning. And then we look at muscle tone. So where is that tension held? So for kids, they can't tell you where their tension is. They're like, I don't even know what that means, right? For adults, usually they're like, yes, it's here, it's up my shoulders. So when we're going up, we actually see, and they're like, the objective view is like, hey, I get it now. This is cool to see because I've been telling people all along, this is where my pain is. And now they have that ability to see it on paper. So those scans really dictate what that care plan looks like then, and then we can move forward. So typical, I would say, kids that are coming in on spectrum may look at 2 to 3 months of care for restorative care because they have a lot of deeper stress usually. I see babies that might have lip and tongue ties, colic, constipation. Those can be 8 to 12 visits. It's pretty easy. It's one of those things like, yes, they might have been a little bit stuck in utero, but we're not looking at a huge care plan for them. And then the adults just vary too. So I have a lot of adults, similar to, like you said, you've been seeing a chiropractor for years. Okay, how do we keep you on maintenance wellness type thing? So, but those scans are so important. I had one lady, it was the funniest thing is I'm doing her scan, got it all done. It was a thermal. And I was like, T4, why is that fourth thoracic so prominent? And I was like, looked at her and I said, how's your gallbladder? And she goes, oh, I had that taken out years ago. And I was like, okay, here I'm thinking like something's happening with her upper GI and she didn't tell me there was any issues, And I was like, are you taking any medication for it? She's like, no. I said, you might want to talk to your doctor about that because you could see that something wasn't quite right. So we can see where those interferences or what we call subluxations are occurring. And it just helps us guide us. So it's non-invasive, it's no x-ray radiation. So again, with seeing pregnant mamas, seeing babies, it's not going to, we can actually do those scans because pregnant moms, we cannot do x-rays on. So this is a great way to have that insight to be able to see what's truly going on and how do we best help them.
Okay, that's interesting because I've never had that done before.
No.
I've never really heard too much. I think I know some chiropractors. I feel like most of them here in Ocala specialize in car crashes.
That's a big one, PIP. Yep.
Yeah, that seems to be mostly what they do.
They get a lot of money that way.
I get it. I mean, I get it too, and it does help. I mean, it definitely. It's a huge thing.
Right.
But it is interesting that to hear it seems to be like a pretty big to do. Like there's a couple pregnancy centers, but not that many.
Not as many. And that's kind of where when I was coming in, I'm like, okay, there's a few of us that are what's called Webster certified. That's the pregnancy.
Got it.
So we've got, I think, 3 in Ocala. Out of all the chiropractors, though, you would think
I know.
there'd be way
that's what I'm
than
saying.
that.
Yeah.
And there just isn't. And then for the pediatric side, there's really only 2 of us that do it. And again, her practice still isn't all pediatrics and families, and that's why I was like, I need to start something for family wellness and kids and pregnant mamas and, as more of a family unit type thing.
Yeah, because there's not very many.
No, I mean, everything you come in and they're, okay, what therapy are you doing? And I don't do any therapies. I'm like, yeah, can you do this at home? Absolutely. Will I give you some exercises if I think you need it? For sure. But we know that just by doing those simple adjustments, you're going to feel better and you're going to do those things anyway. You're going to reach out and try to figure out how to best help yourself. So
no, I think
no extra cost.
Well, no, I just think I found that interesting, especially like coming from like Volusia County in Orlando,
Sure.
where a lot of
Yes.
it is like family or like
100%.
Dr. Erin is kind of like a family chiropractor.
Yes.
That's what she does. She predominantly does a lot of like birthing, like that's what
Yes.
she likes is what she does. But she does a ton of family. Like she sees everybody.
Exactly. Yep.
And that's what she does.
And that's, very similar. Yes, for sure.
Different but similar at the same time.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. So that's and when coming here, like all the ones that I see, because like I was kind of like wanting to get a chiropractor that was closer to home, just so I don't have to drive to Sanford all the time.
I mean, it's great though that you have somebody that you trust.
And that's kind of how it goes with chiropractors. Once
Yep.
you go to them, it's kind of like, and I've been going to her since I was like,
I love that.
like 12, 13, because I was a kid. So, you know, I've seen her business grow and she's seen me grow as a person,
so
which is
cool.
kind of cool too in a way.
Yes,
because she
for
started
sure.
out my mom started going to her when she was just out of college, and she was with a different chiropractor at the time and was, you know, doing, I think she did her residency with him.
Okay.
And then she ended up working with him. It happens a lot.
That's typical.
Yeah.
Yep, very typical.
And so she was there for a couple years, and then she opened her own practice.
Love
and
that.
She's moved a couple times, and you know, now she's got like another chiropractor in there and a massage therapist, and like her husband does like fitness training, and
Love
like
it.
it's great to really just see it like bloom and grow into. It's been fun. I actually interviewed her too at one point.
I love that.
It was really cool.
Good.
And I love Dr. Erin, but I thought about like moving to somewhere closer, just not because I don't like her, but just because I was like, it's actually not inconvenient for me because I can go whenever.
Sure.
But my wife, she actually had post-concussive syndrome, and so we were driving back and forth a lot, and so she still has some neck issues from it.
Yes.
And so I was like, it's a lot. So maybe we'll come see you.
There you go.
I really might. We might consider that, especially with her, just because she still has some issues that are just. I mean, she's just really. I don't know. She crashed and burned bad. It was, and I didn't do it anymore. I no longer longboard or skateboard. Or anything. I'm like, I'm done. We're done with this. I fell once really bad, and I had a helmet on, thank God. And I crashed and burned. Like, it was terrible. Like, I still have scars on me from it.
So hard.
It was really bad. But I was okay. Like, I probably had a concussion, but it was very minor. And
You're like, I'm fine.
I was good. I mean, I did Taekwondo for a long time, too. So I got kicked in the head a lot. So, God knows, my neck's probably jacked. I'm jacked up in a lot of ways. Like, my hands.
But again, you've had the care,
yes.
so you're probably
I'm probably okay.
Yeah.
But like my hands are messed up, so like I got an axe kick to this hand one time, and so like I don't know. I never had an X-ray. I've never had anything done to it, but there is definitely a difference. Like I'll show you maybe when we're done. I'll let you look at my hand, but like there's like a definite difference between my thumbs. It is what it is. It's just part of like when you play a sport or you know. And I did it for a long time. I'm getting ready to. Actually, I'm going to start training kids again, so I'm excited.
That's cool.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Good.
I'm very excited. But nonetheless, I think what you're doing is great, and it's something different, and I think Ocala needs it, and I'm happy to see like people like you coming from other states, which I just keep seeing.
Right.
Coming and bringing services that we need.
Right.
So that's why I keep telling people like on the group and stuff like just be patient, people. Like people are coming from like bringing really great services here to Ocala and. Like, I know you hate the growth, but, like, you complain there's nothing here, so people are bringing it.
Yep, we're gonna,
bringing
all the good stuff. We just need some, like, good Chicago-style pizza. That's the one thing I miss.
I don't know. Florida, I mean, Ocala's food, like, there are some great food, but it's very minimal. I'm hoping our food scene gets better as time goes on, too. But
I love the food trucks. Like,
that's what I was getting ready to say.
Fabulous.
What's a food truck that you like to go to?
Ooh, it's one of the Mexican ones, and I can't remember what it's called.
Okay.
But, oh, my
Where is it at? Do
goodness.
you know where they usually set up?
So, they've been at the Light Up Ocala for the last couple years. And so anytime we're like, where is it? Where is it?
Maybe I'll highlight them on here. I'll look it up. I know I know a couple food truck people, so I'll see if I can figure it out. Highlight them in here, even though you can't remember the name of it.
So fun, and then even like the mini donut ones. Oh my gosh!
I know everybody loves those mini donuts.
Amazing.
They go crazy with those things.
Right? Oh, my husband, he was so funny. He brought like a whole bunch back. I'm like, what is this? He's like, you have to try these.
I know people go like crazy for that. Like they set up a lot of times for the county council meetings.
Nice.
And so they go there very often. And so I will like drive past in the morning or whatever, and I'm like, there's the donuts, and I'm like, and I've been to a couple county council meetings, and I'm like, there are people that just go there just to get
for the donuts. Absolutely.
Like it's crazy. I'm like, these people are obsessed with these donuts. I'm like, these people, they need to like. They got it going on, man. They're making some money on some donuts. I'm like, go for it.
So smart. And again, those like simple things that just, again, are amazing. And you're like, why didn't I think of that? You
know, I know, right?
All the time. Like, why didn't I think of that?
I think it's great. So So you've been pretty happy living here in Marion County?
Love
Good.
it. My daughter absolutely loves it. She hates the cold.
Okay.
So anytime it
works.
would get cold in Illinois, and of course it's like -20, you
Yeah,
know,
it's
it's
freezing.
freezing. And she would be like, inside, inside. I'm like, we're trying to get inside. Just hold on. Now, I mean, she just loves to be outside.
Which is probably good for her.
Oh, it's fabulous. So again, being able to, you know, keep her weight at a good level, that's always hard too for kids on any type of, I would say, spectrum.
Unless there's Sierra. Sierra's the beanpole. She's got a metabolism. You always say
She has a fast
metabolism.
Yeah, unfortunately, Kadena does not have that.
That's hard.
She has one of the parts of her syndrome is obesity because of what's the BDNF issue in the brain. So she can overeat and overeat. So we have to like, nope, this is how much you get, and that's all. So yeah, but having her be able to get out and do stuff
helps.
And walk, you know, is huge. So.
No, that's good. So what made you guys move here?
Good question. It was like perfect. It truly was perfect timing. So my youngest was graduating 8th grade in 2022. So I stayed. My husband moved here in January of 2022. Got the house all ready for me. Bless him. And then we moved with the kids. I moved with, I should say, with the kids in May of 2022.
Okay.
So finished school, finished the selling the practice and getting everyone situated there. And it was truly one of those things. Our house was finally, we had bought our house in 2006.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So 2008 was the crash.
Yeah.
Yeah, fun. So we really were like, we're stuck in this house forever. My husband even said, he's like, I'm dying in this house. I'm never moving. So COVID hit and he realized, he's like, hey, wait, I can do telehealth.
Okay.
So I can so his practice is technically still in Illinois. Oh. He has an associate that works in the actual building, and then he just does all the telehealth. So he's like, this is perfect way for us to move at this time, make a profit on our house, and pretty much get our retirement home is kind of what we were thinking.
Oh, okay. Got it.
And so that's
a lot of people are doing that.
It worked out too easily. So the crazy part was so this was in 2021 when we were putting our house on the market. So we decided in October, we put our house on the market in November. We had a showing only one weekend, had 24 offers.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
That was
that time, right? So we thought, oh gosh, we're never going to find a house in Florida. So my husband came down Thanksgiving weekend, really. So we had Thanksgiving here with my aunt. My aunt lives here. So that's also why we chose Ocala, Central. Plus we had family because we were looking at other places, but I'm like, West Coast, East Coast, which way do we go? And I was like, Ocala's Central. Like, one, don't have to worry about hurricanes. So, all right, I'm happy with that. I mean, yes, a few little, it's not like
the coast.
Yeah. So that was kind of what we were thinking too. Like, how do we, play it safe? And be able to go to both coasts is fabulous. So he came down, he looked at 4 houses, put an offer on the last one he saw. Nobody else had any offer on it.
Oh, wow.
How crazy.
It was meant to be.
And the person that our realtor was talking to, we thought was the other realtor, but it ended up being the realtor was out of town because of Thanksgiving. So we were talking to the family, and the realtor was like, hey, they have a daughter with special needs, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, we do too. And so it just, they were like, done. You've got the house. What?
That didn't happen. I'm telling you. It was crazy. You guys were very, very fortunate.
We had a very different experience and so grateful. So we pushed off the closing until January because Christmas and all that stuff. We were like, you know what? Let's give them a little extra time to get out of the house too. Because it had only been on the market for like 3 days.
Oh, God. Yeah, I mean, that was the market.
Again, we were like, get on it. Let's go check these houses out. And fabulous. So we ended up on the southwest side, love it, and still trying to figure out all the north side. I was like, I don't know the north side very well at all.
That's where my wife's from, and that's the side I don't really go on that much either, to be honest.
Isn't it funny? It's like you really do, and people kept saying, "Oh, you're from the other side," and I was like, "What does that mean?"
You're on the other side.
When somebody else, I was like, I don't know what that means. So now I do. I've figured it out, and yes, I very rarely go to the north. Still fabulous over there. But
it's beautiful, but
just don't get a chance to truly go that direction. So
I don't go over there. But I don't even really sell very much over there. Not because I don't want to,
right?
Because I really like the Fort King district and I like all of that over there,
right?
But I just end up, new construction, everybody wants Marion Oaks or Liberty, that whole area, that where you're at, all of that. So they want it, that's where we're
it was funny because our house was actually built in 2005.
I was going to be like 2006, 2005, sounds right.
And there was nothing around us. And then all of a sudden, boom, boom, all these houses were coming up and we're like, we got neighbors.
You do now. Which is good because it has helped a lot of people with like internet and stuff. Like even where I live behind Lakewood High School.
Oh yes.
Which really is it's a big new construction community. I live in a new construction home, and it was terrible though because being a realtor with no internet was god awful. I'm telling you, I had no internet. I used to come to this office and I would sit here all day long, and that was not really my favorite thing either because it just made things clunky. Yes. And so I really was like, I just want to go to my home and
be able to do it.
Yeah, and be able to do whatever, and I couldn't. So now Spectrum got a grant. So now most of Marion County will have good internet. Like good. At least people complain about Spectrum. I've had no issues with Spectrum.
That's good.
I like it. So.
Yep.
I'm just glad I get to have internet that works.
That's right. Yeah, we did have an issue with the internet at first, especially with my husband doing the telehealth. Sure. Yeah, he's like, we need better internet service. So I did a little research and found some, I think we are with Spectrum. I'm trying to remember.
Probably
I don't even remember. I was like,
most people are now because of that.
This looks like it's a better deal. So let's stick with that. And so far, we've not had any issues.
Yeah, no, people complain about Spectrum, but I'm like, I haven't had any problems here at all. So I don't know. Nope. So, towards the end of my podcast, what I always ask, and the very last question that I ask is like, if somebody was looking to do what you do, what would you tell them?
If you love working with kids, if you love knowing that where the future of our kids is going now, how do we best help them to be their best version of themselves, whatever they want to be, however they want to do it. Dive deep into learning and understanding what the nervous system is about, understanding what chiropractic is. So when I first got into chiropractic, I didn't realize there were multiple things. I just thought chiropractic was chiropractic and that was it. Even the schools you go to is very important because you're learning philosophy versus, there's I would say evidence-based is what the kind of, philosophy versus evidence-based, but it's all intermixed, right? So I went to more of an evidence-based chiropractic school. But I had the basis of the philosophy from when I had seen my daughter go through the care. So it's kind of like I was able to mix all of those things together, but do the research. I didn't. I just was like, hey, I'm here, 45 minutes to get to school, whatever, and I can do it. But again, chiropractic, there's so many amazing things you can do with it. If you love sports or if you love anything to help your body feel better, you're going to have a way in that chiropractic world. And I looked at the funnier part is I did psychology for my bachelor's. I had a sports psychology master's, and here I am. It was just kind of one of those things that if I would have done this way back when, I would have definitely worked more with the sports, teams and athletes. And yes, can I? For sure, I see some, but that's not my core people. But when you're looking at chiropractic, you can do so much, and I think that's the cool part. Is initially I was looking at physical therapy. I almost went to Northern Illinois for physical therapy too. I was like, well, I could do that, and realized there was still not as much autonomy with it. You were stuck with here's a protocol for all of it, and I was like, but I want to be able to do what I want to do, how I want to do it, and with chiropractic, you can. You really have much more autonomy of how are you helping each patient more, a very specific way versus just this is what, you have low back pain, this is what you have to do,
No, I think that's important. And I think in today's world, people are looking for alternative.
Yeah.
Whether, I think it's interesting also that you come from a very traditional background mixed with alternative, which I think I actually talked to somebody else who was a nurse and now they do some alternative medicine stuff, which I think is great. I think we need more of that. I think there is a happy medium.
Right.
And, there is going too far on the homeopathic side because some illnesses, if you're a diabetic, you have to do these things.
Absolutely.
You don't have an option, or your daughter.
Right.
There are certain things that just because of the way they are, because of the way things are, you have to go to them. You don't have an option.
Exactly.
Modern medicine is needed to be used, but also there's something that can kind of pair along with it. So that way maybe you don't have to rely so much on that.
Correct.
Will you have to use it? Probably. Maybe you still have to use stool softeners sometimes, but less. And which is still better for the body in the long term, in the big scheme of things. So I think it's beautiful, and I hope we kind of go more that way. I'm kind of that way. I kind of grew up like that, so I don't know any different.
Right.
I'm not really big on modern medicine. When people ask me, who do you go to the doctor? And I'm like, thank God I'm very healthy. I don't go to the doctor. Like,
Right.
I never really have. Like, my mom didn't do that, and so I don't do that. Like, do I need to go back to homeopathic and do some of the things? Like, that's kind of where I'm going.
Yes.
I'm like, I have problems. Like, I need to get this addressed and fixed. Like, I need to do those things. But I'm definitely like, do you go to allergy specialists? And I'm like, no, because they didn't help me when I was a kid. They're not going to help me now. They just wanted to give me steroids. Like,
Right.
that was like the life
You
I lived.
really do. It opens up such a different
It does.
world.
It's beautiful.
I had no idea. And again, it was one of those things where I didn't know and understand it. Even when I went into chiropractic school and people are like, hey, what about essential oils? And I'm like, what? And
Yeah.
now that's like literally what I go to. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
what essential oil can help with, certain things. And I try not to do like, here's a symptom, here's what you need, because again, our bodies are telling us something for a reason. But yeah, can we help our bodies just function at a different level if we're using different things besides, Tylenol, Advil, all those types of things. And you're just like, you don't need that. And how do you best support your body? Because I always say, I'm like, pain to me is always like, why is your body telling you these things? How, I tell patients all the time, if it hurts, don't do it. Like, you need to find a different route to do if it's starting to hurt. So yeah.
No, I definitely agree with you. So no, I'm excited that you're here in Ocala, and that
Thank you.
you're very welcome, and that I hope you continue to have much of the success that you've been having. I think that's great and awesome, and Ocala just needs diversity, and I'm excited that people are bringing it here, I guess.
It's such a cool thing. Well, Gabby, you are fabulous.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So excited for where you're going with everything too.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I will definitely be supporting you all the way.
I appreciate any support I get. I do. I really that's why I like doing this. I like meeting other business owners and getting to meet awesome people, because I think everybody I've pretty much interviewed has just been really really
cool.
great, and I've made really great connections. So I appreciate you coming on as well and taking your time. And I know you're busy. So, all right, guys. Well, I appreciate your time, and I hope that you look forward to another great episode with another great guest. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.